Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Calhoun's. Folks, right now through Christmas, don't do your own holiday cooking. Let Calhoun's do it for you. They do everything, the turkey dressing, right on down to the cheesecake for dessert. They handle it all, and they're great bread, their rolls. Oh, man. Let me tell you, Calhoun's, they do just terrific stuff, and they can pack up your holiday feast for you to where you don't have to worry about the cooking. So when you get the family over, take one headache out of the mix and bring the food in from Calhoun's. The Taste of Tennessee. Check them out online to learn more. All right, I want to welcome in the next two members of our panel. Right on this end, we have Bob Hodge. Down on that end, we have Ryan Callahan. Thanks to you gentlemen for joining us today. We want to talk about the bowls, and let me run through the numbers and everything. So here you go. Here are the SEC's bowl-eligible teams. You see their national rank on the left. I listed them according to their record and then by alphabetical order once you get down to that bottom four. And then you see the potential bowl partners over on the right. Now, the SEC, they're not going to get somebody in the playoff, the sugar, the orange, and the cotton. That's not going to happen. If you're a Tennessee fan, you are hoping and praying that they'll get, well, actually, it's probably too late now. There's no way they're getting four, so forget it. If you're a Tennessee fan, you just better hope that the luck falls your way because you're not going to move up in the slots anymore. Alabama getting shafted out of the top 10 probably didn't do Tennessee any favors. You think Florida's probably going to go to a big bowl. Georgia's going to get the Sugar Bowl because they're the runner-up in the SEC. So it'd probably be, even if Florida doesn't get the Orange Bowl, then it would probably be Alabama or Auburn. You're not going to get both. All right, anyway, let's move on to the next slide, and I'll show you my best guess. And I put this together last night, and I looked this morning, and everybody basically has the exact same best guess. So my best guess is, pretty lame. LSU versus Clemson in the playoff, I think. Sugar Bowl, Georgia, Baylor. Orange Bowl, probably going to be Florida versus the ACC runner-up in Virginia. Citrus Bowl, I think Citrus goes Alabama over Auburn, even though Auburn beat Alabama. And I think even though Auburn is one slot higher in the ratings, I just think Alabama, Michigan's hard to pass up. Auburn, Minnesota, probably in the Outback. Gator Bowl, right now, you look at it, Kentucky travels well, and Tennessee went to Jacksonville more recently than Kentucky's been. I don't know that Kentucky's ever been to the Gator Bowl. It's been many, many years if they have. Plus, they haven't played Indiana since 2005. That was a rivalry game. They used to have the Bourbon Barrel that they would play for. That drops Tennessee probably to the Music City Bowl, or I shouldn't say drop. Music City pays more, but in terms of, I think fans want the Florida trip.
Yeah,
but anyway,
shifts them to the Music City.
Yes. So Music City Bowl, Tennessee versus Louisville, yawn. Belk Bowl, Texas A&M, Virginia Tech, that seems to be right. And then Texas would be Mississippi State, Oklahoma State. Now, if you're looking at that, Tennessee's realistic chances, though, Gator, Music City, Belk, they've never been to the Texas Bowl, and they tend to throw West teams to the Texas Bowl. But still, those bottom four bowls are where Tennessee could land, and it depends on who they could play. I mean, if they do wind up in the Music City, there's a chance. Wake Forest. Nobody wants Wake Forest because that's a small school, small base, not going to travel, you wouldn't think. But that'd be a mighty interesting matchup. Dave Clawson coaching against Philip Fulmer's school. Philip Fulmer and John Curry having to do the handshake for all the bowl arrangement stuff. Oh, that would be fun to watch. But I think my guess, and from what I've seen this morning, everybody seems to be saying the same thing. Tennessee, Louisville, Music City. Thoughts? What are you guys, where are you guessing? What are you thinking?
My thought is I just didn't want Tennessee to play Indiana because they seem like a boring team. I mean, boring. Boring state, probably. I shouldn't have said that, should I?
Just no tradition.
No, exactly. So I would rather Tennessee go to the Music City Bowl and play Louisville than go to the Gator Bowl and play Indiana. That's just my feeling about it. And I think the Music City Bowl is a good place because, I might go to the Music City Bowl.
I think Tennessee's been to a couple of Music City Bowl, once under Jones, once under Dooley. Been there quite a few times. The reaction online has not been very positive about Music City. I mean, somebody tweeted us earlier that said, what was it? We want Fulmer's head on a pike.
Yeah, which is reasonable, sure.
Yeah. If we go to Music City, I want Fulmer's head on a pike. Okay. Guys, what do you think? You think Music City, or are we in for a surprise? I mean, the SEC makes this decision. But when you look at it, it comes down to what teams you'd be playing, and they, according to you, take into account they want the SEC to win, so they're actually in there trying to figure out who'll beat who. There's a lot of variables, so nothing's guaranteed. But your thoughts on what could happen here?
That's what makes it hard for me to project. I was in on the Gator because I know the Gator Bowl I think I know the Gator Bowl wants Tennessee as their number one. I think Tennessee's number one choice would be the Gator Bowl. And usually the SEC tries to accommodate. But the problem you get into, and John, you were alluding to this, what's your matchup going to be? Who are you going to play? And so that could back you into a situation of shifting to the Music City Bowl as opposed to going to Jacksonville for the Gator. And the Gator Bowl is played January 2, the Music City Bowl at December 30. Mm-hmm. So I think that the opponent could end up having an impact on where Tennessee goes. I have thought for a while it was going to be the Gator. Not so sure now.
Okay. If I forced you, would you still say Gator today?
Yeah, I'd still say Gator.
Okay, very good. We got a Gator. I got a Music City. Bob,
Music City.
You say Music City. Josh, you got a guess?
Yeah, I'd guess Music City right now.
Okay. Thoughts on that matchup? Thoughts on that trip?
Not entirely exciting, but I've maintained over the last week or so that I was hoping Tennessee would play a higher level team. I'd like to see Tennessee at the end of the season get a better test to see how this second half of the year went, because they were facing some teams whose stock was going down in the SEC. I was hoping for Michigan or Minnesota, which doesn't appear to really be in play.
That's good. That's my next question. So don't answer that part of it. Ryan, your thoughts on this?
I think it's the Music City too. I think a couple things are in play. The biggest one to me is the SEC's pairing. You know, you've got the Gator Bowl might want Tennessee, but the Music City does too. And part of the reason is they might get Louisville. Kentucky just played Louisville last week, so you can't have that rematch, or they don't want that rematch. Kentucky also was in the Music City Bowl 2 years ago, so don't think they want them again. I think Tennessee ends up there because that's their preference. That said, every time we think we have this figured out, there's a surprise. In 2014, we thought Tennessee was going to the Belk Bowl. They end up in Jacksonville. I could see this being one of those years, you never know, where maybe the Belk Bowl ends up being in play and we're not discussing it. I mean, there always could be a surprise.
Well, and you and I were talking earlier, and you brought up a good point that you go back to 2014, Tennessee got bumped up, if you would, simply because of the location. That's why we call it up. Gator is actually not up in terms of payout, but better than Charlotte because it's Florida. But there were other schools that had better records.
Yeah.
They got the shaft that year.
LSU ends up in the Music City Bowl that year with the 7-5 record. In 2015, Tennessee goes 8-4 and ends up in the Outback Bowl. A 9-3 Georgia team goes to Jacksonville after a 9-3 Georgia team also went to Charlotte the year before. So the best team doesn't necessarily get the most prestigious bowl always. It's usually just about finding the right fit.
Well, the Music City Bowl indicated they would prefer Mississippi, if not Tennessee, then Mississippi State, not Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you've got a problem with the fans in the Music City Bowl. Familiarity breeds contempt. Okay, everybody goes to Nashville, or a lot of people go to Nashville a lot, so there's not a big trip there. And plus, you've got the Gator Bowl has a historic name to it. Tennessee was going to the Gator Bowl back decades and decades ago. There wasn't a Music City Bowl then.
Then it changed to the tax layer. Now it's back to the Gator.
Now it's getting back to the Gator. So I think that probably makes the Gator Bowl seem more. Now I understand people want to go to Florida. That's great. I understand that. But I think the Gator Bowl has a little bit more prestige because it's just been around long.
Yeah, the history of the bowls, you think of prior tiers that don't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'll tell you another reason the Music City Bowl wants Tennessee. They've always drawn well for that game, but the 2 times it's been a hard sellout, the 2 times Tennessee played there. So always sell tickets, and that's something everybody wants these days.
Does everybody agree with Josh? I mean, let me turn it around. Let me ask you, as a fan, do you think fans, if they had the choice, lesser bowl, lesser opponent, or better bowl, better opponent, what do they choose? In other words, would you rather lose at a good bowl or win at a bad bowl?
I'd say better bowl, better opponent.
Yeah.
I would.
I think most fans do.
Okay.
I personally see the value in an 8-5 finish, though, so I think you can make an argument for both.
Well, and that's the thing. I think a lot of fans just want to see the win simply because 3 years from now, you're not even really going to remember this bowl game all that much, I don't think. So, yeah, I think a lot of people would like just to get us a win, period.
All right, very good. We didn't get to talk much about if it is Louisville. If it is the Music City, if it is Louisville, yawn. Maybe better than India. I don't know.
Not as yawny as Indiana.
I don't know.
I would say this to Bob's point, the fans aren't thinking about losing.
That's
They
right.
think they
good
can beat
point.
anybody.
All right. Very good, guys. And then we'll see later tonight that Tennessee's going to the Texas Bowl. We're going to break down the new guys on Rick Barnes' roster next. We still got a lot more football, a lot more basketball. Come on back.